The finale centers on Sevgi's death, but Another Self Season 3's finale is ultimately not about tragedy. It's about the idea that love survives even when people don't. Throughout the season, every character spends years confronting inherited trauma, family wounds, illness, guilt, and loss. The ending brings those themes together by asking one final question. After all the healing, can people accept death when it finally arrives? The answer is painful but hopeful. The biggest shock of the finale is Sevgi's murder. After spending 3 seasons fighting stage 4 cancer, surviving relapses, healing family trauma, finding love with Fiko, and finally becoming Halime's foster mother, Sevgi appears to have earned her happy ending. That's exactly why her death feels so cruel. But the series deliberately avoids presenting life as a reward system. Throughout Another Self, the characters repeatedly learn that healing doesn't grant immunity from suffering. Sevgi's recovery from cancer never meant she would be protected from future tragedy. Instead, her journey was about learning how to live fully, regardless of how much time she had. That is why her final video message is so important. When Sevgi records it, she explains that the emptiness she carried for most of her life is gone. She no longer feels incomplete. She no longer feels abandoned by fate. For perhaps the first time ever, she's genuinely at peace. The tragedy is not that Sevgi died before finding happiness. The tragedy is that she found happiness and still died. The beauty is that she died knowing she'd finally lived. At first, it seems that Sevgi's death was meaningless. A random act of violence destroys everything. Halime loses another mother figure. Fiko loses his wife. Muko loses her daughter. Ada loses her best friend and sister. Even Ada begins questioning whether anything they fought for had any meaning. The series intentionally places us in the same emotional position as Ada. After years spent searching for healing and purpose, how can any of it matter if someone as good as Sevgi can be taken away overnight? The answer comes through Sevgi's legacy. After her death, the people around her continue changing because of her influence. Halime remains surrounded by love. Fiko embraces fatherhood. Leila follows her dreams. Ada builds the institute. Sevgi is gone physically, but the impact of her life keeps expanding. The finale argues that meaning isn't measured by how long someone lives. It's measured by what remains after they're gone. The mystery surrounding Sevgi's death is eventually solved when Ada visits Ali in prison. At first, Ada doesn't approach him with anger. Instead, she tells him who Sevgi was. She describes her kindness, her struggles, and the people who loved her. That humanity breaks through Ali's defenses. Consumed by guilt, he reveals the truth. The murder wasn't random. Yaqub ordered it as an act of revenge and pressured Ali, his nephew, into carrying it out. This revelation is important because it completes one of the show's oldest themes, generational trauma. Just as love can be passed from one generation to another, so can hatred, resentment, and violence. Yaqub's bitterness ultimately destroys multiple lives, while Sevgi's compassion continues creating healing even after her death. The contrast couldn't be clearer. One man leaves behind pain, the other leaves behind love. The finale leaves no doubt about which legacy endures longer. Sevgi's death hits Ada harder than anyone. For years, Ada devoted herself to understanding the connection between emotional wounds and physical illness. Much of her work was inspired by Sevgi's cancer journey and recovery. When Sevgi dies, Ada feels like everything she believed in has failed. She abandons the Institute project. She throws away the funding papers. She blames herself for letting Sevgi leave the hospital. Most importantly, she stops believing that life is fair. This is the darkest point in Ada's story. Ironically, it mirrors the emotional state Sevgi once experienced before beginning her own healing journey. Just as Sevgi had to learn that life could still hold meaning despite suffering, Ada now faces the same lesson. Her grief becomes the final challenge she must overcome. The farewell video is arguably the emotional heart of the entire finale. Rather than focusing on death, Sevgi spends the recording talking about life. She doesn't leave instructions about mourning her. She leaves instructions about continuing without her. Every message pushes someone forward. She tells Muko to keep living. She tells Leila to chase her dreams. She tells Fiko to embrace fatherhood. And she practically orders Ada not to use grief as an excuse to quit helping people. In many ways, the video serves as Sevgi's final therapy session with the people she loves. She understands something they don't yet understand. Love is not ending, only her physical presence is. The video transforms her from someone being mourned into someone still guiding the family's future. The subplot involving Sally initially feels disconnected from the main story. However, it becomes one of the finale's most important revelations. Sally explains how her grandfather survived Gallipoli because Ada and Dennis's grandfather saved him. Decades later, that act of kindness still affects lives on the other side of the world. This story mirrors Sevgi's own legacy. Just as Sally's compassion continued influencing future generations, Sevgi's love continues shaping people long after her death. The message is clear: human beings inherit far more than trauma. They also inherit courage, sacrifice, kindness, and love. That realization becomes the foundation of Ada's renewed hope. When Ada finally opens the Olive Tree Love and Life Institute, she fulfills the dream that began with Sevgi's illness. The institute symbolizes everything the series has been exploring since the beginning: body and spirit, past and present, trauma and healing, science and emotion. Most importantly, it proves that Sevgi's story didn't end with her death. Her experience becomes the foundation for helping countless other people. The institute is not merely a medical center. It is Sevgi's legacy made permanent. Every patient who walks through its doors becomes part of the ripple effect she created. Years later, the family gathers at Sevgi's grave. What stands out is that nobody is trapped in grief anymore. Halime has grown up surrounded by love. Fiko remains a devoted father. Leila achieved her educational goals. Muko found happiness. Ada built the institute. Everyone carries sadness, but nobody remains broken by it. That distinction is crucial. The finale never suggests that grief disappears. Instead, it suggests that grief changes shape. The pain remains, but eventually it exists alongside joy, gratitude, and love. The family doesn't visit the grave because they're stuck in the past. They visit because Sevgi remains part of their lives. The season begins with young Sevgi asking whether justice will ever come for her father's death. It ends with Ada confronting another senseless loss and asking whether life can still have meaning after tragedy. The series' answer is neither spiritual certainty nor scientific proof. Ada admits she doesn't know whether there is life after death. The show never confirms heaven, reincarnation, or any other explanation. Instead, it offers something simpler: love survives. Sevgi's body dies, but her influence doesn't. Her kindness continues through Halime, her courage lives on in Ada's work, her dreams survive through the institute, her love remains in Fiko, Muko, Leila, and everyone she touched. That is why the final line is so powerful. Ada concludes that she cannot be certain there is life after death, but she's absolutely certain there is love after death. And according to another self, that may be the most important form of immortality anyone can leave behind.